the perfect preparation, the Grand Academy of Waron, the dark side of Zerion Prime. A massive military complex stretched across the lunar surface like a metallic spiderweb. For 100 years, this facility had served a single purpose: preparing the Zephyrian Empire's finest warriors for the conquest of a small blue planet called Earth. The Zephyrians were a methodical species, known throughout the galaxy for their patience and thorough planning. They never rushed into battle, never made hasty decisions, and never failed to conquer their chosen targets. Supreme Commander Kha'Zix stood before the great viewing window of the Academy's central tower, his silver skin gleaming under the artificial lights. His elongated skull housed a brain capable of processing information at incredible speeds, while his six-fingered hands could operate complex machinery with perfect precision. Behind him, holographic displays showed detailed maps of Earth, complete with population centers, military installations, and resource deposits. The Zephyrians had been watching Earth for a century, and they knew everything there was to know about humanity. The discovery it had been exactly 100 years ago when a Zephyrian deep space probe had detected unusual electromagnetic signatures coming from the Sol system. The probe's advanced sensors had identified a world teeming with life, populated by a species that called themselves humans. What made Earth particularly interesting was not just its abundant resources, but the fascinating nature of its dominant species. Humans were bipedal creatures with primitive technology, yet they showed remarkable creativity and unpredictability. In their conflicts, the Zephyrian High Council had decided that these humans would make excellent slaves, while their planet would provide valuable resources for the ever-expanding empire. However, the High Council also decreed that the conquest must be perfect. No Zephyrian lives should be lost, no resources should be damaged, and the humans should surrender quickly to minimize disruption to their future productivity. The century-long study commander Kha'Zix had been assigned to oversee the preparation. 40 years ago, taking over from his predecessor, who had laid the groundwork for this monumental undertaking. The Academy on Zerion Prime had become home to over 2 million Zephyrian warriors, all dedicated to studying and preparing for Earth's conquest. The warriors underwent extensive genetic modifications to better match Earth's environment. Their lung capacity was increased to handle the planet's oxygen-rich atmosphere. Their bone density was adjusted to compensate for Earth's gravity, which was slightly higher than their homeworld. Their skin was treated to withstand Earth's solar radiation, and their eyes were enhanced to see clearly in the planet's unique lighting conditions. But physical preparation was only part of the process. The Zephyrian warriors spent decades studying human military history. They analyzed every major conflict from ancient times to the present day. They studied the tactics of great human commanders like Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Napoleon Bonaparte, and more recent military leaders. They learned about human psychology, understanding how humans reacted to fear, loss, and overwhelming odds. Advanced intelligence gathering, the most crucial aspect of their preparation, was intelligence gathering. For 50 years, the Zephyr had been sending covert observation drones to Earth's solar system. These microscopic devices, invisible to human detection methods, had infiltrated every aspect of human civilization. They had tapped into communication networks, observed military exercises, and even infiltrated government facilities. The intelligence gathered painted a picture of a species that was technologically primitive but culturally complex. Humans, still, relied on chemical propulsion for space travel, used projectile weapons for warfare, and had barely established permanent settlements beyond their own planet. Their military forces were scattered across numerous nations that often fought among themselves rather than unifying against external threats. Subcommander Thrall, one of the Academy's youngest instructors, sometimes questioned the extent of the preparation. Commander Kha'Zix, he had asked during one briefing, given the humans' primitive state, do we truly need such extensive preparation? Our standard conquest protocols should be more than sufficient. Kha'Zix had smiled at the young officer's inexperience. Thrall, the mark of a superior military force is not the ease with which it defeats weak enemies, but the thoroughness with which it prepares for any possibility. We have conquered 47 worlds using this methodology. Not once have we suffered unexpected casualties or encountered unforeseen complications. The Swift Dominion Protocol, after decades of study and preparation, the Zephyrian military strategists had developed what they called the Swift Dominion Protocol. This plan would accomplish the conquest of Earth in 3 phases, taking no more than 6 hours from arrival to complete surrender. Phase 1 would involve the destruction of Earth's orbital defenses and communication satellites. The Zephyrians had identified 12 space stations and approximately 300 satellites that comprised humanity's space-based infrastructure. Their intelligence indicated that these facilities were lightly armed and poorly shielded. Concentrated barrage from the invasion fleet would eliminate them within the first hour. Phase 2 would focus on demonstrating overwhelming superiority to Earth's military forces. Rather than immediately attacking population centers, the fleet would systematically destroy military bases on every continent simultaneously. This would demonstrate to human leaders that resistance was futile while preserving the civilian population for future labor needs. Phase 3 would involve landing massive troop formations in major cities worldwide while broadcasting surrender demands in all human languages. Psychological warfare specialists had crafted messages designed to exploit human fears and encourage rapid capitulation. The messages emphasized the futility of resistance while promising fair treatment for those who cooperated. Fleet preparation. The invasion fleet itself was a masterpiece of Zephyrian engineering. 75,000 ships of various classes had been assembled over the past 20 years. The fleet included 500 massive dreadnoughts, each carrying enough firepower to level an entire city. 10,000 heavy cruisers would provide supporting fire and orbital bombardment capabilities. 20,000 destroyers would hunt down any human ships that attempted to escape or mount a counterattack. The remaining ships consisted of troop transports, supply vessels, and specialized craft designed for specific mission requirements. Each ship was equipped with energy shields that could deflect any known human weapon, and their hulls were reinforced with materials that could withstand impacts from nuclear weapons. The crown jewel of the fleet was the command vessel dominions. Edge, a massive ship that housed the fleet's command center, communication array, and primary weapons systems. From this ship, Commander Kha'Zix would direct the entire conquest while remaining safely protected behind multiple layers of shielding and defensive systems. Final preparations. As the departure date approached, the Academy buzzed with activity. Warriors completed their final training exercises, practicing urban combat scenarios in detailed replicas of major Earth cities. They rehearsed crowd control techniques, learned basic human languages, and memorized the locations of key infrastructure that must be preserved. The Psychological Warfare Division finished preparing their propaganda broadcasts. They had created messages tailored to different human cultures and belief systems, all designed to encourage rapid surrender. The messages would be broadcast simultaneously across all human communication channels once the military phase of the conquest was complete. Medical teams prepared treatment, facilities for any Zephyrian casualties, though their projections suggested that injuries would be minimal. The humans simply didn't possess weapons capable of penetrating Zephyrian shields or armor. The greatest risk was considered to be accidental injuries during the landing operations. The final briefing on the eve of departure, Commander Kazix assembled his officers for the final strategic briefing. The massive amphitheater was filled with the cream of Zephyrian military leadership, each one a veteran of multiple successful conquests. "Fellow commanders," Kazix began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. "Tomorrow we embark on the culmination of 100 years of preparation. The conquest of Earth will be the greatest achievement in our empire's history, not because of the difficulty involved, but because of the perfection with which we will execute our plans." He activated the holographic display, showing the assembled fleet in all its glory. "Our intelligence is complete and accurate. Our warriors are perfectly trained. Our equipment is superior in every respect. The humans have no surprises left to offer us." General Vex, commander of the ground forces, stood to address the assembly. "Our troops have memorized every street in every major human city. We know the location of every military base, every government facility, every important infrastructure node. When we land, we will move with precision and purpose. The humans will be so overwhelmed by our coordination and knowledge that they will surrender before offering meaningful resistance." Admiral Kor, who would command the fleet during the space-based phases of the operation, added his assessment. "Human space capabilities are laughably primitive. Their fastest ships move at a small fraction of our cruising speed. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Their communications are easily disrupted. We will achieve complete space superiority within the first hour." Launch day. The departure ceremony was broadcast live across the Zephyrian Empire. Citizens gathered in public squares to watch as their magnificent fleet prepared to claim another world for their civilization. The Emperor himself delivered a speech praising the dedication and skill of the warriors, who had prepared so thoroughly for this moment. As the massive ships powered up their engines, casting brilliant blue light across the surface of Zerion Prime, Commander Kazix felt the deep satisfaction that came from perfect preparation meeting inevitable success. Every variable had been accounted for, every possibility planned for, every contingency prepared against. The fleet departed in perfect formation. Their destination, a small blue planet whose inhabitants had no idea that their fate had been sealed by 100 years of meticulous planning and preparation. The 6-minute reality check. Arrival at Earth's doorstep 3 weeks later. The massive Zephyrian invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. The sight was magnificent and terrifying. 75,000 ships arranged in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of Sol. Commander Kazix stood on the bridge of the Dominion's edge, watching as his tactical displays updated with real-time information about the target system. "All systems nominal, Commander," reported Admiral Kor. "The fleet is maintaining formation and all ships report ready status. We are detecting the expected human orbital installations and a small patrol fleet of approximately 50 ships." Kazix nodded with satisfaction. Even after traveling across the galaxy, his intelligence remained accurate. The humans had exactly the number of ships his spies had reported, positioned precisely where the surveillance drones had observed them. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Open a communication channel to the human homeworld. Commanded, it's time to announce our arrival. First contact. The response came faster than expected. Instead of the panicked, confused communications the Zephyrians had anticipated, a calm, professional voice answered their hail. Unknown fleet, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth's Defense Command. You have entered restricted space. State your intentions and identity immediately. The bridge crew exchanged glances. The human response was remarkably composed for a species facing overwhelming odds. Sub-Commander Threll whispered to his superior, "Perhaps they haven't fully grasped the size of our fleet yet." Commander Kha'Zix activated the communication system, his voice carrying the authority of inevitable conquest. "Admiral Chen, I am supreme. Commander Kha'Zix of the Zephyrian Empire. Your planet is now claimed as property of our civilization. You have 1 hour to contact your leaders and arrange for unconditional surrender. Comply, and your people will be treated fairly. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate the futility of opposing our superior forces." There was a brief pause before Admiral Chen responded, her voice maintaining the same calm, professional tone. "Commander Kha'Zix, thank you for the clear communication of your intentions. We would like to request 10 minutes to consult with our leadership before providing a response. Will this be acceptable?" The Zephyrian officers burst into quiet laughter. General Vex shook his head in amazement. They think they can negotiate. As if 10 minutes of discussion could change their hopeless situation. Kha'Zix found the human response amusing but not unexpected. Their psychological profiles indicated that humans often engaged in denial when faced with overwhelming circumstances. "Very well, Admiral Chen. You have 10 minutes. Use them wisely." Hidden preparations, what the Zephyrians didn't know was that their arrival had been detected days before they entered the solar system. Deep space monitoring stations, carefully disguised as astronomical research facilities, had tracked their approach and identified their fleet composition with remarkable accuracy. Admiral Chen sat in the command center of Earth Defense Command, surrounded by displays showing the disposition of both fleets. Unlike the primitive facility the Zephyrians expected to find, the command center was a marvel of advanced technology, its systems operating on principles that would have surprised even the most knowledgeable alien scientists. Dr. Webb Chen spoke to a man studying complex readouts at a nearby console. "How long until Project Prometheus is fully online?" Dr. Marcus Webb, the architect of humanity's most closely guarded secret, checked his instruments. 7 minutes, Admiral. All quantum disruption platforms are powering up and the field generators are achieving resonance. The alien fleet has positioned itself exactly where our models predicted they would. Chen turned to General Harrison, her ground forces commander. "Status of our mobile units. All strike craft are in position within the asteroid belt installations," Harrison reported. "The alien sensors are reading the asteroids as natural formations, exactly as designed. Our pilots are ready to deploy on your command." The true nature of human technology for 50 years. Ever since detecting the first Zephyrian surveillance drones, humanity had been playing an elaborate game of deception. The primitive civilization the aliens had been studying was largely theatrical, a carefully maintained illusion designed to hide humanity's true technological capabilities. The real human civilization existed primarily in deep space installations, hidden within asteroid fields, beneath the surfaces of moons, and in orbital facilities disguised as space debris. Earth itself had been maintained as a museum piece, showing the aliens exactly what they expected to see while the real work of human civilization proceeded elsewhere. Human technology had advanced far beyond anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. While the aliens had focused on building bigger ships with more powerful conventional weapons, humans had pursued entirely different approaches to space warfare. Quantum manipulation, dimensional engineering, and exotic matter applications had given them capabilities that defied traditional military thinking. Project Prometheus was the culmination of decades of research into quantum field manipulation. Rather than trying to build shields strong enough to stop enemy weapons, human scientists had developed technology that could disrupt the quantum foundations of matter itself. Any technology based on conventional physics would simply cease to function when exposed to a properly tuned quantum disruption field. The revelation as the 10-minute deadline approached. Admiral Chen opened communications with the Zephyrian fleet. "Commander Kha'Zix, we have reached our decision. We must respectfully decline your offer of surrender." The alien bridge erupted in surprised chatter. This response was completely outside their psychological profiles for human behavior. Humans were supposed to be pragmatic creatures who chose survival over honor when faced with impossible odds. Kha'Zix struggled to maintain his composure. "Admiral Chen, perhaps you don't fully understand your situation. Our fleet contains 75,000 ships equipped with weapons that can destroy entire cities. Your defensive capabilities are insufficient to pose any meaningful threat to our forces, Commander Kha'Zix," Chen replied, her voice taking on a note of gentle sympathy. "I believe you may be the one who doesn't fully understand the situation. Dr. Webb, please activate Project Prometheus." The 6-minute war at exactly 14:32 Earth Standard Time, Dr. Webb initiated the quantum disruption sequence. Throughout the solar system, installations that the Zephyrians had dismissed as primitive, research stations began generating fields that fundamentally altered the quantum state of local space. The effect on the alien fleet was immediate and devastating. Within the first minute, every Zephyrian ship found its primary systems failing as the quantum foundations of their technology became unstable. Energy shields collapsed, weapons powered down, and propulsion systems went offline. The mighty invasion fleet found itself helplessly drifting in space, their advanced technology reduced to inert metal and composite materials. "What's happening?" Kha'Zix demanded as his bridge plunged into emergency lighting. "Why are our systems failing?" Sub-Commander Threll, frantically working at a console that refused to respond properly, looked up with confusion and fear. "Sir, it appears to be some form of electromagnetic pulse, but unlike anything in our databases, our quantum processors are losing coherence and our energy matrices are destabilizing." By the second minute, the true scope of human deception became apparent. Across the solar system, asteroids that had appeared to be natural formations suddenly revealed themselves as massive military installations. Weapons platforms that had been disguised as space debris powered up and began targeting the helpless Zephyrian vessels. The third and fourth minutes brought the appearance of the human strike force. Ships unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever imagined began emerging from hidden bays within the asteroid installations. These vessels moved without visible propulsion systems, changed direction in ways that defied conventional physics, and seemed to phase in and out of normal space at will. Admiral Core, watching helplessly as his magnificent fleet was systematically neutralized, turned to Commander Kha'Zix with desperation. "Sir, we need to retreat immediately. Whatever technology the humans are using, it's completely beyond our understanding." But retreat was impossible. The quantum disruption fields had disabled. their hyperspace drives along with everything else. The Zephyrian fleet, which had arrived as conquerors, found itself completely at the mercy of the species they had planned to enslave. Complete defeat by the 6th minute. It was over. Every Zephyrian ship had been systematically disabled and captured. Not a single human vessel had been damaged, and not a single shot had been fired using conventional weapons. The conquest that was supposed to take 6 hours had been reversed in 6 minutes, with the would-be conquerors finding themselves completely defeated. Commander Kazakh sat in his command chair, staring at displays that showed his entire fleet under human control. The irony was almost overwhelming. A century of preparation, perfect intelligence, superior numbers, advanced technology, and flawless planning had all been rendered meaningless by an enemy who had simply been better at deception than the Zephyr were at preparation. The aftermath Admiral Chen's voice came through the communication system, still maintaining her professional calm. Commander Kazakhs, your fleet is now under our control. We are prepared to offer you and your personnel safe passage back to your territory, along with one operational ship to carry word of what has transpired here. The offer of mercy was perhaps the most shocking revelation of all. The humans, having completely defeated a force that had come to enslave them, were prepared to let their enemies return home safely. Why? Kazakhs asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Why show mercy to those who came to conquer you? Chun's response carried a warmth that surprised the alien commander. Because, Commander Kazakhs, we believe that understanding is more valuable than vengeance. Your people spent a century studying us, but you only saw what we wanted you to see. Perhaps now you can return home with a better understanding of who we really are. As Zephyrian personnel were transferred to the single ship that would carry them home, Sub-Commander Threll approached his commander with a question that had been troubling him. Sir, how long do you think the humans knew we were watching them? Kazakhs looked out at Earth, the small blue planet that had just taught the Zephyrian Empire a lesson in humility. From the beginning, Threll, I suspect they knew from the very beginning. The long journey home would give the surviving Zephyrians plenty of time to contemplate the greatest military reversal in their species' history, and to consider what it truly meant to underestimate humanity's capacity for both deception and mercy. Asterisk.